Okay, I think I'm live. My name's Izzy, and I am one of Patrick's real estate agents and also his personal assistant. He is enjoying some much needed time in California with his family for the Christmas vacation, and so I offered to do the weekly live for him this week. So if you haven't met me before, my name's Izzy Ibrahim. I've done probably about 4-ish videos now on the YouTube channel, and super excited to be here tonight. I'm going to be talking about things that have been happening over the last week in Fort Collins, things that are planning to happen, as well as what happened at our council meeting this week. It's my first council meeting I've ever watched, 3 hours long. It was actually quite interesting. Never watched one before. And so the main, turn on your video. Oh, okay. Sorry, Pat. That makes sense. Okay. I'm back. That makes sense. Because I was like, why can't I see myself? Okay. Thanks, Pat. Anyway, the bulk of the council meeting was regarding the land use code, so I will touch on that towards the end. But first, just some things that have been happening this week. CSU employees are going to start moving into the workforce housing at the new apartment complex next month. It's located just south of Timberline Church, and CSU Timberline Church and Tetrad Real Estate are involved in this. They were hoping to build the affordable housing apartments at the former Hughes Stadium just off Overland Trail, but voters voted for that to be public land, which you can go visit. There's disc golf, there's lots of fun things to do over there. So because that did not work out, CSU was looking for a different place that they could do this, and they owned a 5-acre plot of land near Timberline Church, but knew that it wouldn't be big enough for the apartment complex they did want to build. And so Timberline Church owned 10 acres. And so they did a little switcheroo, and CSU sold their 10 acres to Tetrad Real Estate, who have started this development. It's going to be available for 100 CSU employees have already started applying. There's 57 units available right now. 1 of 8 of the buildings has been built, and it's for employees that are earning 60 to 100% of the average median income. It's going to be around those earning 60% it's going to be about $1,145 a month for a 1-bedroom, $1,372 for a 2-bedroom. So definitely well below market rates, which is awesome. It looks like they're going to have about a 3-year, they can stay in the same unit for 3 years at that rate. But if they decide to stay in the unit longer than that, then their rent will change to a market rate. You may be seeing some low-flying helicopters December and January. Don't freak out. It's nothing weird. This is what the Colorado Parks and Wildlife does each year, just to keep track of the deer and elk population, specifically counting the population. They're also going to be checking the sex of the population, how the production of the young is going this year, and just the overall health of the herds. And they do this every year around this time. So that is, if you see the helicopters flying kind of close around the Horsetooth and the foothills, that is why. So another, which is great because I will touch on it, but in the city council meeting, one of the big concerns for both sides was on affordable housing, especially for teachers. So those are working at CSU, public schools, as well as our police department, fire departments, where our nurses, giving them the opportunity to be able to live in Fort Collins and rent in Fort Collins, not commute from out of the city to work in the city, but also opportunities to buy. And so affordable housing has been a really big topic. And so it's really cool to see the developer of Strauss Lakes is coming up with a plan to develop a new mixed-use project that'll include CSU Workforce housing in Fort Collins. They also were hoping to were working with CSU to build this housing where the former Hughes Stadium was. But when that didn't work, they're back to the table figuring out CSU and Cottonwood are working together to try and see how they could make this work for CSU Workforce having affordable housing. So really, really good news. So 3 years ago, we voted for wolves to be reintroduced back into Colorado. I'd say it was a pretty tight vote. It was 51 to 49%. So half of you may be super happy about that, and the other half may not. And so on Monday, they released the first 5 wolves into into Grand County, and we got them from Oregon. Oregon was the only state that was willing to provide wolves to Colorado to meet our deadline for this year to release them. And while I would say that while Grand County was voting against the reintroduction, the county is home to the state's largest wintering elk herd, and so they were reintroduced there. Buc-ee's, I never knew what Buc-ee's was. Thanks, Lauren. I didn't hear what Buc-ee's was until recently, when it was starting to develop, but they are hiring for its Strongstown location. So they will be opening in several weeks from now, and they'll have a mass hiring event from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. each Tuesday, January 23rd through Saturday, January 27th at the Embassy Suites in Loveland. So if you're looking for a job, it's a great opportunity. Once again, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every Tuesday, Tuesday, January 23rd through Saturday, January 27th at the Embassy Suites in Loveland. The store is expected to create 250 to 300 new jobs, with a starting pay between $18 and $21 an hour. Benefits, 100% of matching of 401k, contributions up to 6%, and 3 weeks of paid vacation. Oh my gosh, that's great. The hiring event is by invitation only, so you do need to apply at www.buckeys.com. That's BUC-EES.com. And why is that? Oops, sorry. Okay, so before I go into the city council, I'm just gonna, you may have heard this or may have seen it, and it's funny because it also came up in the council meeting, is that Fort Collins was recently listed as the most peaceful place to live, which the main two reasons for that is the ability to go outdoors and be so close to outdoors and biking and trails and things like that, but also low noise, which I'd say that's definitely true. We have a low average noise level and our overall quality of life. And we were ranked number 1, and Boulder was ranked number 2. And so that was actually one of the arguments the Fort Collins preservation team, whatever you call them, was making against the ADUs and things like that, because they didn't want to increase the noise, increase the traffic, and keep Fort Collins a peaceful place. So that's pretty exciting. I'd say Fort Collins is voted top in best place to live, now most peaceful, and I definitely can attest to that. So now our Fort Collins City Council, the whole point of this meeting, the main focus of this meeting was the land use code. We had over 40 members come up and speak their opinion for or against the land use code. The really main points from this council meeting was those that are in favor for the land use code are not wanting it to go on the ballot. They're just wanting it to get fixed where it needs to be fixed and then approved. The reason for not putting it on the ballot is because it is a 500-page document, and most people are not going to be able to understand the verbiage in there or take the time to read it. And so not wanting to put it on the ballot and in risk of people not understanding what they're really voting for because of how big the policy is, and it's not the most clear. And so those in favor of the land use code are not wanting it to go on the ballot and just wanting it to get fixed where it needs to get fixed and move forward. Many were very upset that we have gone back twice for this. They see it as the preservation Fort Collins preservation group just using it as ways to slow the process down, when this is something that could be seen as really good for Fort Collins, increase affordable housing, allow those who come here for school to find homes to rent. One girl who came up said that when she was she's in grad school, when she was looking for a home to rent, that 100 showings went through that day, and which is crazy. And so that was kind of the big idea is wanting to have a place for family and friends to come. One girl mentioned that she wants her parents to be able to live here, but because of how expensive it is here, she's not sure if that's ever going to happen. So that was kind of the side of voting for the land use code and their reasons for why. which I'm sure you guys already know because I know Patrick talks about this so much. But then those that were not in favor were those who want to preserve Fort Collins, want to keep the noise down, or worried about traffic, worried about how the city is going to handle 52-ish% population increase. But both sides did make it really clear that they both are in favor for affordable housing, and they wanted to. There was a focus of the land use code has little bits of affordable housing sprinkled in there, but it's not often reinforced. A builder will say that they're going to meet X requirements for affordable housing, and then they end up not. And so there was this big push to make sure that any affordable housing that's agreed upon is enforced and goes through. And so they did come to a vote on what they wanted to do with the land use code, and it was a 3-2 vote in favor of the land use code being edited and repealed and then reintroduced. And so they're going to be having their meeting for that, I believe, in January. And so overall, on both sides, they believe that the new changes to the land use code have been positive. So I think it going back and forth has been positive, because it's going to be a stronger policy when it is decided and when it is approved, if it is approved. And so both sides did say that the changes are positive, and that and Kelly did say that he's been on the wrong end of policy decisions very often, and life goes on and he will be fine. So yes, and so that was the main bulk of the city council meeting. A lot of opinions, a lot of people showed up. For those who were in favor of the land use code, they got, I believe, or not in favor of the land use code, got about 7,000 signatures of people. I don't know why this keeps going off. Sorry. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Those that did not want the land use code to move forward. A big thing for those is that a lot of them suggested just not having ADUs in single family neighborhoods because they didn't want crowding. There was also an emphasis on HOAs not being undermined by the land use code. And so if an HOA says that an ADU can't be added, then just because, even if the land use code says it can, the HOA can dictate if it's not. Some made a comment that, they moved into this neighborhood for a reason. People moved to Fort Collins for a reason. And so when we start changing things, when they buy a house in a specific neighborhood for a specific reason, that then these changes are unfair. Where on the other side, people said that things change all the time. And our mayor mentioned that she used to get super excited about going to our bull farm, which I have no idea what she's talking about. I have not lived here for that long. But when she was younger, she was super excited about going to the bull farm, and now the McDonald's is there. And she said it's like the city was great, and it still is great, and it will continue to be great. I think Fort Collins is incredibly intentional at everything we do. The people who are leading us are wanting the best for everybody. And so I personally am not worried about what it is that happens, because I'd say City of Fort Collins does a really good job at making sure they're thoughtful in everything that they do. So that's about the land use code. So they'll be coming back in January to talk about that. And then another thing in this meeting was, let me just find it. Shirley Peele had her last council meeting. There was lots of tears. It was really sweet. People from the public came up and spoke really, really kind words to her and just thanking her for her time. Then the members of the council also spoke gratitude to her, and just spoke about how kind, hardworking, intentional for the public that she is, and that she will be missed. She did lose her seat on the council. She was the only one that was not voted back in. Melanie Putyandi was elected in November, and she'll be swearing in January 9th. I believe that's a Tuesday at their next meeting. And Shirley Peele made a comment that she wants to continue to find ways to reunite people. I think I know that I need to, I'm very good at talking too much. So I need to, we're almost at 15 minutes, right? Yes, we're almost at 15 minutes. So just a couple things that you can do this weekend coming up. Tomorrow, December 22nd, Ginger and Baker are having in their teacher kitchen, they're doing a holiday gingerbread decorating class. Tickets are $85 and they're available at gingerandbaker.com/theteachingkitchen. If you haven't been to Ginger and Baker, it is so sweet. It is such a sweet place, woman owned, and just a lot of history. I actually was just there the other day. Their gift shop in the front is super sweet. If you want to go for lunch or dinner at the cache, it's great. And then the I never say it right. Artisan Gift Holiday Market at the Foothills Mall is Saturday, December 23rd, and that's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You do not want to miss out on this. There's tons of vendors, locally grown. I am over my time. Thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in. If you have any questions, comment below. Me or Patrick will answer you. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and Merry Christmas.